So after this week for college football conference championships, we're going to be having a discussion what the final college football playoff rankings are going to be, such as who is going to be the four that's going to make it in to play each other for the national title. If everything goes how I just described on my notes for the conference championship games, this is what I can see happening. It's going to be Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, Florida State at 3, and then Oregon at 4. Florida State should not be in the final standings, though, even if they win the ACC. Here's why. I mentioned earlier about them losing Jordan Travis, and that's going to be huge when they start the playoffs because these three teams are way better than a fully stacked Louisville team is. And it's kind of going to be similar to a situation we saw last year with TCU just not belonging in there, especially if they make it to the championship game. However, the committee cannot ignore an undefeated team, which is why Florida State will still get in, even though it's not a full team that it was supposed to be. If you're up to me and I were to want that spot to be taken, I would want Washington to take that spot. They have 4 ranked wins and had the most ranked matchups in total. If not them, then Ohio State should get in. But obviously, I don't see a scenario where that's going to happen at this point. The only time I could see Ohio State making it in is if perhaps Michigan loses or Washington loses and if FSU loses. So all three of those need to happen for Ohio State to have a chance to get in this playoff. So I was thinking about this. I want to start like a challenge for the postseason because it's not all about the college football playoffs. It's also about the bowl games that are going on. It's a great time because it happens during the holidays, so people are off work and they have plenty of time to watch college football throughout the week. So I'm going to start the Comeback Sports Bowl Game Challenge. And here how it goes. I'm going to list 5 teams that I'm going to be following this week or the week of the bowl games. And whichever one of these 5 teams has the best bowl game, in my opinion, I will rock their gear in the next episode by wearing like a shirt or a sweatshirt of this team to keep my word. So I'm going to lay out the 5 teams, why I like these teams so much that they're in this challenge, and what they need to do for me to select them over the other 4. So I'll start from the easiest one to kind of the more underdog one to me. I got Penn State at the first one. I'm a big fan of James Franklin. He's really turned that program around, and he's kept them in contention for a Big Ten title for at least half a decade. And this season was no joke to them. They were the 3rd best team in their conference against the hardest Big Ten schedule. That's impressive in my opinion, even though they didn't make it to the title game. And for me to rock their gear, I just need to see a high-power offensive win because James Franklin's offensive style this year has been very underwhelming and very kind of short pass game and just kind of being conservative. I need to see more of the flashiness and a little more aggressiveness with his offensive approach for me to pick this team. The number 2 is a team we discussed earlier, which is Florida State. They've come a long way in the past 2 years, and they need to win the ACC and a playoff game without Jordan Travis to really define themselves as this team is legit and this is a well-coached team and I should be wearing their gear. Because it's been fun to follow them. I mean, that LSU win was kind of the starting point, and they continue to roll through. So I'm excited to see how they do for these upcoming games. And then number 3 on my list is Mizzou, University of Missouri. This is probably the sneakiest team in a very already powerful SEC conference. Not to mention their Brian's team, who's a former guest on the show. Shout out to Brian. And for me to pick them over everyone else, they just need to win in a dominating fashion for their bowl game. And then, let's see. Actually, I only have 5 teams. But this one is probably my favorite one I've seen this season, to be honest. So the last team on the list is Arizona. This was a nobody team 2 seasons ago, and they just finished 3rd in probably the toughest Pac-12 conference in recent years. Like, all these Pac-12 teams came in with a vengeance of we may be going away, but we're going to be remembered when we leave this conference. And Arizona held up with them, being 3rd in this conference. To me, they have the easiest way to win my heart, which is just simply win a New Year's Six bowl game. If they can do that, you're going to see me wearing the big old A right on this camera. So I'll be rooting for them pretty heavily. But however, I don't want to count out these other 3 guys as well.